And it seems like it's just getting hotter. This area is about to go through a really, really hot, dry, miserable time. Worse than what it's been probably for the next 2 days. It's going to be dry. Like, I know everywhere where we're at is under a burn ban because of it being so dry, but that's not what I wanted to talk about today. What I wanted to discuss is recently I had mentioned that I'm we're trying to see exactly where my testosterone levels are going to sit. And so initially, whenever I first tested, it was divisible by 3, or I can't remember the last. It was either 233 or 266. Either way, it was under 300. So we began, and not just because the numbers were low, I was experiencing a lot of symptoms, a lot of mental things, and a lot of cardiovascular issues. Sleep wasn't very good, all kinds of crazy stuff. So move forward and tested my levels after about 6 weeks to see where my levels were at. Did the test bright and early in the morning, like they opened at 7:30. I was in there at 7:45. Tested all my levels. Results came back within a few days. And let's see if this is going to make a difference. I just realized that this was not connected. So I realized that, and I hope that audio comes through fine, because now it wasn't connected to the overall vehicle. So anyways, yeah, my levels came back and they were around 950, because I don't remember exactly. My total was at 950 and my free was around 235. So say 225. So everything was good. Nothing was like too elevated. And so driving through a area that's always kind of weird. To watch out for people jumping out in front of me. So yeah, there was no big issue. Everything looked fine. There were no other levels that were elevated that we needed to be concerned about. So, asked me how I'm feeling, and everything's been good, except for the fact that, my energy levels and everything, I start getting more down as time progresses throughout the week, because remember, I'm only doing this every other week. So there's really not basically I told him, it feels like I have this strong peak of like, I feel fantastic, and then leading up into that next injection, I'm feeling like hot garbage. Like, my energy levels are down. I'm not sleeping well. So I'm like, can we split this up so that I'm doing this every week? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. If you're, feeling like a roller coaster and like maybe too much or not enough throughout the week, then yeah, he's like, we need to keep it consistent with your body. And, because that was my main concern, was that if I am taking like one amount at once and letting it run its course through my body, it feels like that's not how the body creates testosterone on a daily basis. And while I don't want to microdose daily, which I don't know how that would make me feel, maybe once a week would be good. So that's what we're trying. And we'll see how that works. So like, kind of keeping true to the title, just be proactive about tracking your moods and your sleep and your energy levels, so that you know what your body's doing, so that you can relay this back to your doctor, because these are things that they're going to ask. And if you're like super busy and you're not paying attention to all the things, then you might miss something. Now, I know a lot of people that go into the doctor and they think, well, I'm just going to remember what's going on. Like, for sure I'll remember to tell him that, like my libido sucks. And maybe it's not as good as it'll be, but the past couple of days, it's been really good. Or anything. Like, maybe not your libido, but because most people aren't going to forget about that. Let's say your sleep. Like, you've had really crummy sleep for the past week, and then the day before you go to the doctor, you slept incredibly well. So you're not going to remember that, you may not remember that your past week has been terrible when it comes to your sleep quality. So I recommend using the Notes app on your phone, or using an actual, like, a physical notepad to write these things down, so that when you do go in, you can say, hey, here's what I'm noticing. Especially if you feel like you're going on kind of a too high and too low kind of a swing. Because that's like with my experience with antidepressants and bipolar medication that I didn't need at all, come to find out. But like, I guess the depression medicine, that was a little different. So like, you don't want a medication that's going to absolutely floor you and turn you into a zombie. You want something that's going to level you out. And it's the same thing with testosterone. You don't want to be riding high the whole time and then experience an extreme low. Like, that's hard on the body. Especially whenever it's not able to balance itself. It's now we're playing the role of balance because something's not functioning properly. So it's incredibly important that you're proactive with telling your doctor every single thing that's going on, so that you can adjust accordingly. Because some people, there's so many different doses throughout the day. Sorry, there's someone driving weird in front of me. so many different doses that you can really do in order to find what works for you, that you may have to experiment with, you know, once every 2 weeks, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Like, whatever that dose is, you just have to find it to kind of get what's right for you. And I don't know if the half, like, once a week is going to work for me. I may have to split it up even more, and I may find out that I'm dosing multiple times a week with a smaller dose. Obviously, not 100 milligrams every other day. Like, that's not what I'm going for. Like, I'm not looking to. That's not the goal here. The goal is to normalize the levels so that I'm not experiencing symptoms. So, yeah, we'll see what happens on 50 milligrams every week. Because as it stands, my T levels are good. They're high. And the symptoms that I'm experiencing are very minimal. Like, a lot of things have cleared up. My sleep is still not 100% the best, but it's not an overnight fix. Like, I figure that it's going to take a while because I've been going for such a long time in a deficit that I've just become used to it. So my body doesn't really know what it's like to be operating at an optimal level. So it's going to take a while before things get back to normal. So far, it's been 6 weeks. I think I'm almost positive. Let's see. Maybe 8 weeks. Oh man, I gotta check. Something like that. But either way, I mean, it's been a little while. And there's really no telling how long it's going to take. Generally, 6 to 8 weeks before you start noticing a full effect on the body. But everybody's different. So that's just kind of where we're at. That's what I'm noticing. Dreams have really taken a back seat. I had been reporting on that every time I make one of these videos talking about the frequency of dreams and dream recall, but also my sleep has been kind of crappy lately. So I don't know. And I think that's really due to the heat and just kind of all the crap that can't even think straight, that's going on in Texas right now. So hopefully this has been informative to someone out there. I'd like to, again, I need to make a real sit-down video instead of always driving and doing these, because I feel like I'd like to put the information out there for people, and mostly no one has the attention span to sift through videos, through these little updates, to gather all of that information. And I don't blame you. Like, unless you're watching something entertaining, my attention span is not going to sift through videos to find the information. So I get it. These are more like little vlog things anyways. They just happen to be informative. So I believe that would conclude this video, because there's not really much. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said other than, you know, most importantly, the most important part of the video was really to just emphasize that, like, you need to pay attention to what's happening in your body and keep a log. You know, you don't have to write this stuff down every day, like, don't go overboard, but just take note of the important things that, you know, how are your symptoms improving? Like, these are things that you should be doing with kind of everything. Like, anytime you have a medical change or anytime you're implementing any type of change, like, keeping a log will help you understand if those changes are benefiting or if they're hindering what's happening, like your end result, like what's going on. And I feel like no one really does that. They just kind of start a procedure or something and then they just wait for the results and they're like, oh yeah, this happened. Well, along the way, what happened? Like, you need to be more aware of what's happening, I guess, is the big deal. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want this to, I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter than what they usually are. So, yep, that's it.